Okay, hello my friends. I just want to talk quickly about an idea called social capital and two central concepts in here. The first being audience and the second being assets, and the relationship between those two things is the sort of the cornerstone of understanding social capital. So a really simple model to think about this is if you've built an audience of people who are interested in, let's say, learning how to write. Many of you listening to this will be familiar with David Perel, great example of somebody who has a message that's super specific that builds an asset, so an audience as an asset, that are interested specifically in writing. And then there are multiple ways to monetize that audience, and the asset is the resource that you can build that is that benefits directly from you continuing to grow your audience. So, in the case of David Perel, that's writing. So he's building assets like live teaching products. So there's a decent chunk of his audience that's going to be interested in taking that. There's Twitter growth products, etc., etc. And this idea of social capital is really your ability to create these overlaps. So if you're there, this monetization strategy isn't specific to creating information products. This could be for software, this could be for media. A great example of social capital is let's do a Kanye West situation here. So audience as asset, you can come out and sell shoes, sell music, sell a presidential bid, albeit probably a smaller segment of the overlap here. But essentially, social capital, the way I like to frame this and think about this is if you can imagine where your audience's interests and the content that you put out creates this, let me just add a new layer here, creates this type of person or this type of audience, all of these different interests that you're combining over time result in this larger and larger reach. And then by kind of deconstructing what that audience is interested in, and there are many ways to do that. Like one great way is just to ask people questions. One is also to measure the reception to certain topics, ideas, etc., get that feedback and create content as a result of the feedback you're getting. And then essentially the capital piece is where the assets you generate, how much overlap they have with that audience. So the more overlap, obviously the more successful that product will be, and the more evergreen that asset, the more it benefits from the increasing size of your audience. So if you talk about writing and you have a writing product, that overlap actually stays consistent as your audience scales. So you end up with this very consistent income stream as a result of continuing to build that audience within that very specific area. This is also true of the way Visualize Value works. So the assets on the front end are these design pieces that are growing interest in this practice of visualizing ideas, and then as a result of that, the asset, the Design Fundamentals course, is creating overlap there, and as the audience scales, there's no reason why that that interest and the scalability of that product doesn't expand with it. So a super simple concept, but it helps me to think about these two intersecting or overlapping layers, and I hope it also helps you think about this and hone in on not only building an audience around an idea that you can leverage into product later on, but thinking about the longevity of the strategy as your asset marries up with the interests of your audience. And again, this is not specific to information or education products. Whatever it is you're building, whether it's physical, digital, software product, the strategy remains the same if you're going to go social first and use this idea of social capital to scale. Hope this was helpful. Any questions, as always, just give me a shout on Twitter @JackButcher, or drop a comment wherever you are watching this. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much.